He had to retain his classification as an aberration, and as such was ineligible to be entered in the matching pool. She sighs. We don't make the microcards until a few hours before the banquet. It's likely the error occurred then. We already checking to see who had access to your microcard and who could have added Kai's picture before the banquet. I hope you find out who it was that did it, I say. You're right, it's cruel. We'll find out, she says, smiling at me. I can promise you that. Then she looked down, glancing at her watch. I have to leave now. I hope that I've been able to eliminate your concern. Yes, thank you. I try and pull my thoughts from boy who is an aberration. I should be thinking about how wonderful it is that everything's back in order. But instead I think about Kai and how sorry I feel for him. I wish I didn't know that this about him, and could have gone on thinking he was chosen to be single. I don't need to remind you to keep the information about Kai and Markingham confidential, do I? She asked mildly, but I hear the iron in her voice. The only reason I share it with you is so that you could know without a doubt he was never intended to be your match. Of course, I say without anything. I won't say anything to anyone. Good, it's probably best to keep it to yourself. Of course, we could call a meeting if you would like. I could explain to your parents and to Xander and his parents what happened. No, I say forcefully. I don't want anyone to know, except who? I didn't answer, and suddenly her hand is on my arm. She does not grab it roughly, but I can tell she will wait out the answer of her brief question. Who? My grandfather, I admitted. He's almost 80. She let go of my arm. When is his birthday? Tomorrow. She thinks for a moment and nods. If you feel that you need to talk to someone about what happened, he would be an optimal one. Still, this is the only person. Yes, I say. I don't want anyone else to know. I don't mind grandfather knowing because I leave the sentence unfinished. He knows why. At least one of the reasons why, anyways. I'm glad you feel this way, the official nods. I have to admit, it makes things a lot easier for me. Obviously, you talk to your grandfather, you will tell him he will be cited if he mentions this to anyone. And this certainly not something he wants to know. He could lose his preservation privileges. I understand. The official smiles, stands up. Is there anything else I can help you with tonight? I'm glad the interview is over. Now, this all is right again in my world. I want to take my place back inside the room full of people. It suddenly feels very lonely out here. No, thank you. She gestures a path leading back to the center. Best wishes to you, Cassia. I'm glad I could help. I thank her one last time and walk away. She stays behind, watching me go. Even though it's nonsense, I feel as if she's watching me all the way to the door, all the way down the halls, back to the room, to the tables where Xander's still playing the game. He looks up, holds my gaze. He noticed that I was gone. Everything's all right. His eyes ask me, and I nod. It is now. Everything is back to normal, better than normal. Now I can again enjoy the fact that I've been matched with Xander. Still, I watch. She hasn't told me about Kai. won't be able to look at him the same way again, now that I know too much about him. There are so many of us inside the game center. It is hot and humid in the room, reminding me of a tropical ocean simulation we had in science once, and one of the coral reef that teemed with fish before warming killed them all. I taste the sweet breath of water. Someone bumps into me, and an official makes an announcement over the main speaker. The crowd goes quiet to listen. Someone has dropped their tablet container. Please stand completely still and do not speak until we locate it. Everyone stops immediately. I hear the clatter of dice and the soft thud of someone. Perhaps Xander puts down the game pieces. Then all is quiet. No one moves. The lost container is a serious matter. I look at a girl near me. She stares back at me, wide-eyed, open mouth, frozen in place. I think again of the ocean simulation. The inspector paused, and in the middle of to explain something, and the fish projected around the room stared back at us, unblinking, until she switched the simulation back on. We all wait for the switch to be thrown, from the instructor to tell us what comes next. My mind begins to wander, escape the place. We all hold still, and there are other unknown apparitions standing here in the room, swimming in this water. I recall another memory of water, real this time, a day when Xander and I were 10. Back then we had more free recreation time, and in the summers we almost always spent it in the swimming pool. Xander liked to swim in the blue chlorinated water. I liked to sit on the marked cement side of the pool, swishing my feet back and forth before I went in. That's what I was doing when Xander appeared next to me, worried look on his face. I've lost my tablet container, he told me quietly. Glanced down to make sure mine was still hooked to my swimwear. It was. The metal clip snapped securely to my strap over my left shoulder. We've had our tablet containers for a few weeks. And at this point they contain one tablet. And the first one, the blue one. The one that saved us. The one with enough nutrients to keep us going for several days, if we have water too. There were plenty of water in the pool. That's the problem. How is Xander going to find his container? It's probably underwater, I say. Let's get the lifeguard to clear the pool. No, Xander says, his jaw set. Don't tell them. They'll cite me for losing it. I don't say anything. I'll find it. Carrying out our own tablets is an important step towards our own independence. Losing them is the same as admitting we aren't ready for responsibility. Our parents carry our tablets for us until we are old enough to take them over one by one. First, the blue, when we are 10, and then when we turn 13, the green one. And one that claims us if we are needing calming. Then we are 16, the red one, the one that only takes when a high-level official tells us to do so. At first I tried to help Xander, but the chlorine almost hurt my eyes. I dove and dove, and then my eyes burned so much I could barely see. I climbed back to the cement next to the pool. I tried to look beneath the sun-bright surface of the water. None of us even wears a watch when we are small. Time is kept for us, but I still knew. I knew but he had been underwater much too long than he should. I had measured it out in heartbeats and the slap of waves against the side of the pool. As one person and another dove in. Did he drown? For a moment I was blinded by the sun, slanting off the water, white. I paralyzed in fear, which felt white too. But then I stood up and drew a deep breath into my lungs and screamed the word Xander under the water. Save him, save him. Before I screamed was born, my voice did not know. Is he drowning? I can't tell, I said, tearing my eyes away from the water. A boy stood next to me, tan skin, dark hair, a new boy. That was all I had time to notice before he vanished, slipping underneath the surface in one quick motion. I paused a few more slaps of waves against the cement. Xander's head popped up of the water. He grinned triumphantly at me, holding the waterproof case. I got it, he said. Xander, I said, relieved. Are you all right? Of course, he said, confident, light back into his eyes. Why would you think I wouldn't be? You were under for so long. I thought you were drowning, I admitted. And so did that boy. Suddenly I panicked. Where did the other boy go? He did not come up for air. What boy? Xander said, puzzled. He went searching for you, and then I saw him below the blue shadow under the water. He's right there. Is he drowning? Just then the boy broke the surface of the water, coughing, his hair glistening, a red scrape, almost headline but still noticeable. I ran along his cheek, but I did my best not to stare. Not just because the injuries are uncommon in a place where we are so healthy and safe, but because he was unknown to me, a stranger. It took the boy a few moments to catch his breath again. When he did, he looked at me and spoke to Xander, saying, You didn't drown. No, agreed Xander. You almost died, though. I know, the boy said. I meant to save you, he corrected himself. I meant to help you. Don't you know how to swim? I asked him. I thought I did, the boy said, which made both Xander and me laugh. The boy looked at me and smiled. The smile seemed to surprise him. It surprised me too, the warmth of it. The boy looked back at Xander. She looked worried when you didn't come up. I'm not worried anymore, I say, relieved that everyone was safe. Are you visiting someone? I asked the boy, hoping he was staying for a long visit. I already liked him because he wanted to help Xander. No, the boy said. I thought he still smiled. His voice sounded like water became around us. He looked right at me. I belong here. Now his eyes fixed on the crowd in front of me. I feel that same feeling of relief and release as I see a familiar face. Someone who until now I had desperately worried about. Someone I must have thought had drowned or slipped or been pulled under and might have never seen again. Kai Markingham is here. He looks right at me. Without thinking, I take a step towards him. That's when I feel something burst beneath my foot. The last tablet container had broken open. Everything that is supposed to protect had spilled out on the floor and been crushed underneath my foot. Blue, green, red. I stop in my tracks for a moment. Had been noted officials swarmed towards me. People near me drop beneath breath and call out, Over here, it's broken. I have turned away when the officials take my elbow and ask me what happened. When I look back at where Kai stood, he has disappeared. Just like he did the day in the pool. Just like his face did earlier on the port at my